Hey there, Carolina fans, and happy Women's History Month. We are live on location inside the Carolina Women's Basketball Museum in Carmichael Arena, the home of the Carolina women's basketball team. Over my right shoulder, you see the 1994 National Championship Trophy, because Carolina is one of just 15 programs in the history of NCAA Division I women's basketball to claim a national championship. My name is Matt Krause, radio play-by-play voice of Carolina women's basketball, joined on the screen by the head coach of your Tar Heels, Courtney Banghart. Coach, first off, Women's History Month. What does that mean to you?
You know, I can't help but think of all the people who came before, who made this women's sports and, where we are right now, both relevant and a time of great hope. I remember my mother, when she was at her high school in northern New Hampshire, she only swam and played tennis because there was no girls' options in other sports. And now her daughter is coaching for a living and has done nothing but be in athletics. So there's a lot of progress being made, and I celebrate that.
What does it mean to you to be part of the women's athletics program at the University of North Carolina, a place with so much tradition, not just in the sport of basketball?
Yeah, I mean, it really, I have to admit, Matt, it was my big selling point. You know, I had a great career and a great comfort and a great connection at Princeton, and I really wasn't going to leave for really just about anywhere. And, oftentimes the athletic program is judged by how men's basketball and football are. And what's really special about Carolina is men's basketball and football are excellent. But so too are so many other programs. And so it's a place that cares about each of its pieces. And it shows that with the level of success that each different program is able to accomplish together. And so, for me, being a part of this tradition is why I came. It's not just a basketball school. It's a school where excellence is a verb.
28 NCAA tournament appearances for the Carolina women's basketball program, 27 WNBA draft picks, including 3 current pros. Obviously, the 1994 National Championship, 2 other trips to the Final Four in 2006 and 2007. When you hear numbers and facts like that, what comes to mind?
Just that Carolina women's basketball has to be good in order to continue to elevate our sport. It's one of the flagship programs. It's one of the most recognizable brands internationally. And so, women's basketball is a sport that we want to continue to grow and expand and make sure it reaches its full potential. And so you need your biggest brands and your flagship programs to be excellent. And so I feel a great sense of responsibility, which is another attraction I had to Carolina, in that our sport needs women's basketball to continue to be a brand that people recognize and a brand that people can wrap their arms around.
How do you help the current student athletes understand the legacy that came before them in the Carolina women's basketball program?
I think you try to connect the people, right? I mean, athletics is such a people-driven industry. Competing and is such a team-dominated approach. I mean, so really it's through the people. I think trophies are never forgotten, and banners are important because they're replicas of a memory, right? But it's really the interaction with the people. So, our group does a really good job of trying to reach back and pull in the many who wore the Carolina blue, and it's through their stories and through their experiences that we feel a part of them. And so we've made a lot of progress in the 2 years I've been here with the connection that was so important.
What have you learned about excellence specifically at Carolina from some other coaches of successful women's teams, such as Karen Shelton or Jenny Levy, who I know are friends of yours?
Yeah, I think those two they've really kind of urged me along so many times throughout my career here. And what I continually learn from them is the power of sticking with it. I mean, Jenny didn't win her first national championship in her first 5 years, right? She did things the right way, and built a tradition and built a program that people were proud of, and made it home for herself, her family, and the people that played for her. And that just kind of accentuated success as the time went along. And same thing with Karen. And so I have been so warmly welcomed here. I have been pushed and urged and challenged and celebrated in a way that makes me really excited about the foundation that we're building here in women's basketball, so that we can continue to be teammates with them, with both Jenny and Karen and many others, as we continue to elevate our brand.
And obviously, the Tar Heels in the NCAA tournament here in Women's History Month. I imagine that has to be extra special to be able to reach the big dance for the first time as the head coach of the Tar Heels. You're there taking on Alabama on Monday at noon. We'll begin with just the emotions of being in the tournament, especially as it corresponds with Women's History Month.
Yeah, when I was at Princeton, I had been, I think what you would know better than me, I think about 8 other times, but you get there at Princeton, except for one, I was an at-large once, for the most part, because you win your conference. Getting an at-large bid is really, really special. And it shows your collection of success throughout the year, your growth and your journey. And this is the pinnacle of women's athletics right now, is the NCAA tournament in basketball. And so to be a part of this event, especially, this is the very first time it's all in one location, given COVID-19. And then, of course, in Women's History Month, being able to celebrate our great sport and the best teams this year that play it. It kind of is a collection of all things right. So just in a sense of real gratitude and, excitement for what Monday will be.
Monday's game, it'll be a noon tip on ESPN, also on radio on the Tar Heel Sports Network, with the broadcast coverage beginning at 11:30. What does the support from afar of Carolina fans mean to you?
Oh gosh, I mean, I feel like I have 2 phones, and one of them is basically dedicated to the people that are continually a part of this journey in such a cool way. Because it's just, otherwise I would just never be off it, right? And there's just, you can tell that this blue and this experience meant a lot to a lot of people, because they're kind of seeing themselves in our journey and supporting us along. And then we have our bench seat in our Rams club that they're always there. It's like, it's even though this has been the most separate year in terms of our fan base with our current teams, it doesn't feel as separate as it should and as it could, because they're just always there. I mean, I think that's the part that I feel, our team feels it. I know it's the work of many, but whether it's through emails and through text messages and through phone calls and through just being present at various Zooms that we put on, the bench seat and the Rams club we're not alone, and we appreciate it.
You mentioned that the bench seat program and the Rams club. How can Carolina fans and folks that have supported this program through the years continue to support Carolina women's basketball to try and earn another one of these trophies?
Yeah, it's pretty, isn't it? Yeah. I think first with Rams Club, it's basically dedicated to the scholarships of our student athletes. And there's a lot of programs, and we celebrate that in recruiting, that you get to come and be a part of a collective identity of the student athlete experience, not just in your sport. So, the rich tradition of our mini sports is a huge recruiting sell for us. So we certainly appreciate the Rams Club's commitment to that. And then the bench seat is more dedicated to women's basketball funding, and it's amazing how competitive these programs are, and the budget. Although it's always competitive, the amount of resources that some of the sport's biggest fans are putting into their own institution and their own teams is remarkable. And so I have such gratitude that our bench seat said, we're here for you. We're here to be the extra set of needs, whatever that may be, as determined by the ebbs and flows of our business and the timeline of our journey. And we've needed it. We've needed the financial support. We've needed just knowing that building something doesn't just happen. It takes a dedicated approach, and we've got a lot of dedicated donors. And with that comes added access to our players and to me, that I think they get to feel like and they get to really be a part of it. So we would encourage people to join us in the bench seat program. I think it's something that, if you talk to current members, they'd really say they enjoyed it, and we've certainly loved having them.
For more information on how you can join the Rams Club, contribute to the Carolina Victory Fund, or join the bench seat program, visit ramsclub.com or goheels.com. We certainly encourage you to do that. Celebrating Women's History Month here with the head coach of the Carolina women's basketball program, Courtney Banghart. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time, and we cannot wait to see the heights that you take this program to.
I appreciate you and everybody associated with the Heels. Go Heels.